So Meryl Streep holds the record for the most Oscar-nominated actor in history, but you know what? She's also great in tons of films that did not get her an Oscar nomination. Hi, it's Brian. Welcome to the Awards Contender, and this is my top 10 list of the best Meryl Streep performances that didn't come anywhere close to the Academy Awards. Let's start with number 10, Defending Your Life.
To the castle!
It's incredible!
Now, I will admit, this is not one of the more remarkable Meryl Streep performances. She's basically playing the perfect woman in Albert Brooks' 1991 comedy, Defending Your Life. She looks like herself, she speaks like herself, she's very warm and compassionate and charming, and it's not a big stretch for Streep in this movie. But here's the deal, Defending Your Life is one of my 5 favorite films of all time. I watch it probably once a year. It's comfort viewing for me. I have adored this movie since I was in high school, and there's something about the concept of the movie, about how important it is to face our fears, that has always resonated with me, and the romance at the center of this movie is so wonderful. Albert Brooks and Meryl Streep have this incredible chemistry. If you take nothing else away from this video, I implore you, if you've never seen it, check out Defending Your Life. You will not be disappointed. All right, number 9, Let Them All Talk.
Swim at 3, dinner at 7, back to work, or bed, or both. I probably worked in bed.
This is one of Meryl Streep's more obscure films in recent years, I would say. It didn't go to theaters. It went straight to what was then HBO Max in the fall of 2020, around the same time that her film The Prom premiered on Netflix. And I feel like The Prom got a lot more eyeballs, whereas Let Them All Talk kind of came and went. But like Defending Your Life, it's absolutely worth your time, and I do think it's Meryl Streep's best performance in a movie since her 3rd Oscar win for The Iron Lady that did not get an Oscar nomination. I think The Post is the only Streep performance since 2011 I like more than her performance in Let Them All Talk, directed by Steven Soderbergh. Most of the movie is set on a cruise ship, and there's not a lot of plot to this one. It's a lot of scenes of Meryl Streep's character talking to her friends who come with her on the cruise, played by Candice Bergen and Diane Wiest. And the chemistry these 3 have together throughout the movie is a delight to watch. And the narrative does go to some interesting places in the 3rd act. Like, you will not expect the ending to Let Them All Talk. I was like, what? Okay. Streep gives a quiet, nuanced, ultimately powerful performance in this film. Number 8, Heartburn.
Don't do this! We have a baby, Mark! We have another baby coming! Don't you even care about them?
So Meryl Streep was nominated at the Oscars a lot in the 1980s for The French Lieutenant's Woman, Sophie's Choice, Silkwood, Out of Africa, Ironweed, A Cry in the Dark. Like almost every performance she gives in the 80s, she's at the Academy Awards. There are fewer performances she gave in film in the 80s that didn't get her Oscar nominations. For me, the one great performance she gave in a film in the 80s that didn't get an Oscar nomination is in Heartburn, opposite Jack Nicholson. For some reason, this movie was a dud at the box office and with critics in 1986. Even though Streep was getting acclaimed for so many things that decade, Heartburn just didn't work for people, and I understand why. I have seen this film 2 or 3 times. I enjoy it. It's not perfect. It does have its lulls in the narrative. There are moments of the movie that feel like they could be moving a little faster, but I love the chemistry between Streep and Nicholson. I'm talking about chemistry a lot in this video, I realize, but I love them together. And Streep has at least a couple banger scenes in the film. When she discovers her husband is cheating on her, there's this amazing scene in the bathroom where she finds all these receipts and realizes that yes, he is cheating, and her hair is a mess because she just left the salon. And it is a hilarious, impeccable moment of acting from Streep. I do think qualifies for this list. I also like seeing her play a modern woman. You don't get that very much from Streep in the first couple decades of her film career. I do think she is pretty great in Heartburn, a very underrated film. Number 7, Manhattan.
So you felt that you had to run her over with the car?
Do I look like the type of person that would run someone over in a car? You know how slowly I was going?
Not slowly enough that you didn't rip the whole front porch of the cabin off.
So I picked one of her films from the 80s for this list. I also wanted to pick one from the 70s. I think easily her best performance in a film in the 70s that didn't get an Oscar nomination was Woody Allen's Manhattan from 1979. Gorgeous black and white, big ensemble cast. Streep only has 3 scenes in that one, but boy, does she make the most of them. I mean, her first scene, which is all done in one take, she's heading down a sidewalk and Woody Allen joins her for a little chat. He is an ex-lover of hers. She's now with a woman and publishing a book about her relationships. And one of the relationships she talks about in the book is with Allen's character. And he's like trying to make everything right and it's not working. Streep is luminous in this movie. It's probably the best she's ever looked on film. Like the black and white, her long hair. I mean, it is something to behold Meryl Streep in Manhattan. And she gives a great performance too. She's feisty, ferocious, like looks down on this guy that she wants nothing more to do with. I really enjoy Streep's moments in Manhattan. Number 6, The Manchurian Candidate.
We can arm them with a young, vibrant vice president. We can give them heat, energy, give them a war hero with heart, forged by enemy fire in the desert in the dark.
Now here was a role I did think Streep was going to get an Oscar nomination for. She got in at the Golden Globes, and then that was kind of it. Surprisingly enough, she gives such a monumental villainous performance in The Manchurian Candidate. It might be the scariest performance she's ever given on film. Like, I would not want to be cornered by this woman in a dark alley. She has one amazing monologue after another. Some of them are very big and bold, with a lot of people around her. And then she has a speech toward the end that's very quiet and intimate to her son, played by Liev Schreiber, that is haunting and chilling. Streep in 2004 once again surprised us with a performance she hadn't really given on film before. Somebody this scary and sinister, and it would have made for a good Oscar nomination. I just think the movie itself kind of floundered by early 2005. People weren't really talking about that remake of the 1962 film. In that first version in the 1960s, Angela Lansbury played the role. Meryl Streep did in the 2004 version, and Lansbury got an Oscar nomination for her amazing performance. I wonder if that hurt Streep a little bit. People might have been comparing the two performances, but whatever. Denzel Washington is great in that movie, and Meryl Streep is fantastic. Number 5, Mamma Mia.
I love being on my own.
I really do. You know, every morning I get up and I thank God that I don't have some middle-aged menopausal man telling me how to run my life.
Meryl Streep had been singing in a lot of her movies up until Mamma Mia. Like, she sings in Silkwood, she sings in Postcards from the Edge, Death Becomes Her, A Prairie Home Companion, and many others, but we never got a full-blown Meryl Streep musical until Mamma Mia in 2008. And what a weekend that was, seeing The Dark Knight on Friday, and then going with my mom on Sunday to see Mamma Mia. Like, 2 movies I have seen at least 5 times each. Mamma Mia is such a joy, and I adore Meryl Streep's performance in this one. Like, not just the musical numbers and her singing, which are wonderful, but also the performance itself in scenes of dialogue, her moments with her daughter, played by Amanda Seyfried, her moments with Pierce Brosnan toward the end. This is a very rich performance that goes beyond just the musical numbers, and in 2008, Streep showed once again just how versatile she can be. I mean, Mamma Mia in the summer, and then Doubt in the fall, winter. Like, 2 complete polar opposite films, genres, performances, and she did them back to back. Just wow. Number 4, The River Wild.
You know I've run this thing once before.
Yeah?
Why can't you just go away, pretend you didn't even see it?
Now, Meryl Streep was never going to get an Oscar nomination for Mamma Mia. I do think she came pretty close for The River Wild from 1994, which is really her only action film, if you want to call it an action film. It's more of a suspense thriller than it is like an Arnold Schwarzenegger kind of action movie. It's not that, but it is the most physical performance we've ever seen of Streep on film, and there are some truly exciting moments. Kevin Bacon makes an all-timer villain in this. It is one of my favorite performances from Bacon as the bad guy, and Meryl Streep is perfection in this. She makes such a great, strong heroine, whitewater rafting in the most dangerous of places, keeping her son safe, fighting off the bad guys. It is a tour de force performance that got Streep a Golden Globe nomination and a Screen Actors Guild Award nomination. And Best Actress at the Oscars in early '95, as I've talked about on the channel before, it's a little weak compared to like the other Best Actress lineups of that decade. I do think Streep was probably in 6th place, if not 7th. I bet she got close because The River Wild came out near the end of '94, and it wasn't a big hit with critics, but it did very well at the box office, and awards voters, up until Oscar nominations morning, seemed to be into her performance for that one. It's too bad, but regardless, she gives an excellent performance I love to rewatch time and time again. Number 3, The Hours.
It was happiness. It was the moment. Right then.
So here was a weird situation, a prestige drama that comes out at the very end of 2002, and it's got Meryl Streep and Nicole Kidman and Julianne Moore, and like, we knew this film was getting into the Oscars. It was going to get into some of the top categories. Could all 3 of these women get nominated for The Hours? Almost, but not quite. Like, they were all nominated at the Golden Globes, but because Meryl Streep was also an adaptation at the end of that year, I think awards voters said, okay, we don't need to give Streep Best Supporting Actress and Actress. Like, let's just give her Supporting Actress for adaptation. But in Best Actress, we'll give that slot to Nicole Kidman, and Supporting Actress for The Hours we'll give to Julianne Moore. I do find it interesting in Meryl Streep's 21 Oscar nominations. She has never gotten 2 nominations the same year. Like, that's happened to a lot of actors like Scarlett Johansson and Julianne Moore and Emma Thompson and on and on. It's never happened to Streep. If it was going to happen, it would have been that year. Streep would have gotten into Best Actress for The Hours, but I do think the awards campaign focus in that category was for Kidman, who ultimately won the Oscar for Best Actress. So it all worked out, it's fine. But I do think it's really weird that Meryl Streep's incredible performance in The Hours did not get an Oscar nomination. She is so raw and authentic in that film, so emotionally devastating at times. Her scenes with Claire Danes and Ed Harris and Jeff Daniels and Julianne Moore at the end. The Hours is a spellbinding movie, and I adore Streep's performance in this one. Number 2, Marvin's Room.
Why not?
Just no.
Well, then give me one good reason.
Because I don't want to! I made this decision once already. When Daddy had his first stroke, I made this decision then. I was not going to waste my life.
This might be Meryl Streep's most underrated film. You don't hear about this one very much. When people bring up Meryl Streep and her filmography, her dramatic performances, like Marvin's Room might be brought up like 15th or 16th. Like, we'll start with Sophie's Choice and Kramer vs. Kramer and Silkwood, and in the 90s, Bridges of Madison County. Most people find that to be her best dramatic performance of that decade, which I do agree with, but she's also fantastic in Marvin's Room, playing a little bit against type. She's the sister in this movie we don't really like very much. Diane Keaton plays the better sister, Bessie. She's the one with the good soul and the kind heart, and she's the one who got an Oscar nomination in early 1997. Streep is combative and sassy, but she's also funny at times, and she can be warm in certain circumstances. Like, as the movie goes on, the arc of Streep's character Lee is a fascinating one. Like, where her character ends up in the end, I always find to be very moving. To be honest, I have seen Marvin's Room probably 15 times or more. I just love watching this. I mean, not only do you have Streep and Keaton playing off each other, which is really fun to watch, but you also have Leonardo DiCaprio right before he did Titanic. And he is great in this, as is Robert De Niro and Gwen Verdon and Hume Cronin. Like, the cast in Marvin's Room is insane. It's so stacked. Margot Martindale, Dan Hedaya. This movie, I'm telling you, is an abundance of riches, and at the center of it is Meryl Streep doing some of her finest work. I do think this is her best dramatic performance on film that did not get an Oscar nomination. But it's not number one. There was only one choice for the top slot for me, and it is a comedic performance. It is a courageous performance, the kind of role she's never really had before or since. My number one choice for Meryl Streep's best performance in a movie that did not get an Oscar nomination is, of course, Death Becomes Her.
You plotter, co-conspirator.
She's dead!
She is. These are the moments that make life worth living.
So we started this video talking about Defending Your Life, which is one of my 5 favorite films of all time. Death Becomes Her isn't in the top 10, it's probably not in the top 20, but it's definitely in the top 30. I adore Death Becomes Her with my whole heart. I have seen this film probably more than any other Meryl Streep movie. Yes, even Defending Your Life, because when I was a kid, when I was 8 years old, my mom took me to see this film in a theater, and little gay Brian immediately fell in love. We got the VHS, and for at least 6 months, maybe a year, I would watch Death Becomes Her over and over and over. It would get to the end of the video, I would rewind it to the beginning, and then I'd watch it again. This is what I was doing at 8 years old. It was Death Becomes Her and Sister Act. Those 2 movies I would just watch over and over. As I got older into middle school and high school, I remember bringing friends over and showing them Death Becomes Her. Like, if someone had not seen this film, I would show it to them and enjoy watching them watch the movie. That's how obsessed I was with this film when I was younger, and why I'm still obsessed with it today. There is just something about Death Becomes Her that is so original, so playful and inventive, and we got just the right people to play these roles. Meryl Streep, Bruce Willis, Goldie Hawn, Isabella Rossellini. Like, they are so perfectly matched with these characters, even though in 91, 92, you wouldn't have necessarily thought to cast Meryl Streep as a has-been, vain actress who just desperately wants to cling on to her youth and will do anything, like anything, to hold on to it. I love the story and the special effects and the pacing and the humor. The humor of Death Becomes Her never gets old. I love me a good black comedy, and Death Becomes Her is probably my favorite in that genre. Everybody's having a good time. Bruce Willis is hilarious in this. Goldie Hawn is a delight to watch in her every moment, especially with Streep. Like, Goldie Hawn and Meryl Streep together is magic, and I'm kind of surprised they've never been paired in any other movie. And then Streep as Madeline Ashton, just frickin' wow. She goes for it, 110%. Like, in her moments of comedy, in her moments of drama, in the special effects scenes. Like, even after all of these decades, all of the movies Meryl Streep has made, what, more than 60 or so? Like, there's no performance she's ever given quite like Madeline Ashton. This is her funniest performance in a movie. It's her most batshit crazy performance, I would say, in a movie. And it is her #1 best performance in a film that did not get an Oscar nomination.
Now a warning. Now a warning?
Thanks so much for watching and subscribing, and let me know in the comments below what are some of your favorite Meryl Streep performances that didn't get an Oscar nomination. Is there anything I left off the list? We'll see you next time at the Awards Contender.